When I called to ask about the wedding date, she said, "We already got married, Mom. We only included people who truly mattered. Just forward the beach house keys and please don't overreact." I simply smiled and ended the call. 3 days later, I left a wedding present on their doorstep that made her new husband shriek uncontrollably. If you're listening, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're joining from. Let me explain how we reached this point, because this entire situation didn't begin with that phone call. It began 2 years ago when my daughter, Maya, first introduced me to Chad.
I'm Elena, 65 years young, and until recently, I believed I understood my daughter. We once spoke daily. She'd call on her lunch break, and we'd discuss anything and everything. Office drama, the newest streaming show, her romantic misadventures. When she met Chad, I was truly delighted for her. She deserved someone who valued her sharp intellect and generous spirit. "Mom, he's not like the others," she'd gushed that first evening, radiant. "He truly understands me." I'd made my signature lasagna, the dish Maya had loved since she was 12. Chad arrived in a tailored suit, bearing roses and effusive compliments about my home. He was handsome in a polished way that usually made me wary, but Maya was beaming, so I quieted my suspicions. Over dinner, he asked considerate questions about my career in nursing and appeared genuinely engaged by my anecdotes. He praised the lasagna, helped clear the table, and even insisted on washing dishes. It was a perfect gentleman's performance that should have been endearing, but felt oddly scripted.
"You raised an incredible woman," he told me as he said goodbye. "You must be so proud." I was proud. Maya had a thriving career in design, owned her condo, and had always been self-sufficient. She was independent and strong-willed, everything I'd hoped she'd become. Yet something felt off. Perhaps it was how he spoke about Maya, as if she were a trophy, or how he'd mentioned my beautiful Malibu beach property 3 separate times. I own a modest beach house that's been in our family for years, a place where Maya and I created countless summer memories. "He's very curious about our family traditions," I told my sister Bianca the next day. "That's lovely, Elena. It means he wants to integrate," she said. I wanted to believe that. I truly did. But something in Chad's flawless grin reminded me of my ex-husband, Daniel, Maya's father. Daniel possessed that same charm, that same ability to make you feel cherished until you were no longer of use. In the following months, I watched Chad gradually weave himself into every facet of Maya's life. He voiced opinions on her friends, her career, even her bond with me. Our daily chats became weekly, then monthly, then nearly ceased entirely. "Chad feels I should invest more energy into our relationship," Maya explained when I asked about the distance. "He says strong couples make each other the absolute priority." That should have been my first warning sign, but I convinced myself I was being overly cautious. Maya was 29, fully capable of steering her own life. If she was happy, I should be happy for her. Then came the engagement party I wasn't invited to. I discovered Maya was engaged the same way acquaintances did, through social media. A picture of her hand sporting a substantial diamond ring, captioned, "He asked and I said yes, ready for our forever." 60 likes and climbing. Congratulations streamed in from friends and colleagues. Not one person questioned where her mother was, presumably because they assumed I already knew.
I stared at that image, my tea turning cold, trying to comprehend it. My daughter was engaged, and I'd found out online?
I called her instantly. "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry." Maya's voice was effervescent. "It happened just last night. Chad surprised me at our favorite spot, and then we called his parents. It got so late. I was gonna call you this morning, I promise." "Congratulations, darling." I infused warmth into my tone. "Tell me everything." And she did. For 20 minutes, she bubbled over about the proposal, the ring, the romance, how Chad's parents were immediately planning a party at their club, how they envisioned a spring wedding. "When's the party?" I asked. A hesitation. "Next Saturday. It's quite intimate, just immediate family and a few dear friends." "Shall I drive down Friday night?" Another pause, longer this time. "Mom, Chad's family has certain traditions. His mother is quite particular and has arranged everything according to their customs." A cold feeling spread through me. "What does that mean, Maya?" "It means, well, it's really for Chad's side and some mutual friends. It's not that you're not important. It's just their way, and Chad thinks we should honor that." Chad thinks. Everything had become about what Chad thought. "I see," I said, keeping my voice steady. "And what do you think?" "I think Chad understands his family, and I want to begin this journey on good terms with them. You get it, right? We'll do our own celebration, the three of us, soon."
That was 7 months ago. We never had that celebration. In fact, I'd only seen Chad twice since, and both times he was courteous yet detached, as if I were a distant relative to be humored, rather than the mother who raised Maya alone after her father left when she was 8. Wedding plans unfolded around me, not with me. Maya mentioned venues, photographers, and florists in passing. When I offered help or asked specifics, I received vague replies about Chad handling things or his mother's connections. 3 months ago, I asked for the date to request time off from my part-time library job. "We're considering early November," Maya said. "Probably the first weekend. Chad is finalizing venues." "November is lovely. Are you considering the beach house?" "Oh, no, Mom. Chad wants something more refined than a casual beach wedding." The dismissal hurt more than I expected. Maya had always adored that house. As a girl, she declared she'd marry there someday, barefoot on the sand with string lights glowing in the dusk. "Of course," I said. "Whatever makes you happy." But I wasn't invited to venue viewings. I wasn't consulted on the guest list. I wasn't included in dress shopping trips. Maya posted online, her future mother-in-law smiling beside her in every frame. I was becoming an observer in my own daughter's life. The final blow landed 2 weeks ago. Maya called as I was tidying a closet, a mundane Tuesday task forever marked as the moment everything shifted. "Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be open-minded." Nothing good ever follows those words, but I breathed deeply and sat down. "What is it, sweetheart?" "Chad has been reading about family dynamics and healthy marital boundaries. He believes it's crucial we establish our independence as a couple from the start." That familiar chill returned. "What sort of independence?" "Well, he pointed out I've relied on you emotionally for most of my life, calling you when I'm stressed instead of resolving things with my partner. He worries it could strain our marriage." "Maya, talking to your mother isn't unhealthy. It's normal." "But is it? Chad showed me articles about women who prioritize their mothers over their husbands and how it damages relationships. I don't want to be that wife, Mom." I closed my eyes, recognizing the manipulation. Chad was isolating Maya, making her believe it was for her benefit. "What does this mean practically?" I asked, fearing the answer. "We need new boundaries, less contact, more space for Chad and me to build our own life." She hesitated. "And Chad believes it would be healthier to spend the holidays with his family this year to break old patterns.
The holidays. We'd shared every Christmas since Daniel left. It was our sacred tradition. I see, I said, my voice distant. Anything else? Actually, yes. Chad thinks the beach house situation is complicated. How so? I always assumed I'd inherit it, but Chad says that creates pressure, like he can never truly unwind there because it's not ours. He thinks we should find a place that's truly ours, where he doesn't feel scrutinized. Scrutinized by me, the woman he'd barely seen? Are you asking me to sign over the house? Not exactly. Chad thinks we should just find our own vacation spot. Maya, that house holds 15 years of our memories. It's where you learn to swim. I know, Mom, but I'm building a new family now. Chad needs to feel we have our own special places. Places that excluded me.
I ended the call promising to consider it all, but inside, I was already strategizing. Not revenge, not yet, but I would uncover who Chad truly was and what he wanted from my daughter.
It took 1 week of discreet online searches and a few calls to Maya's old friends to piece together Chad's pattern. Maya wasn't his first affluent, trusting girlfriend. There was Leah, whose family owned a boutique hotel chain. She'd also been isolated before their engagement dissolved when her uncle uncovered Chad's concealed debts. Before Leah, there was Nicole, whose trust fund Chad had tried to tap into before her siblings stepped in. Chad wasn't just controlling, he was a predator who targeted smart, accomplished women with family assets. Maya, with her career and future inheritance, was his latest mark.
That's when I planned my wedding gift. The fateful call came 3 days ago. Maya's name flashed on my screen as I pruned my gardenias. "Hi, Mom." Her tone was flat. "Hi, darling. How are you?" "I'm calling to say Chad and I got married yesterday. It was small, just immediate family and closest friends." I stopped breathing. "Yesterday? I thought your wedding was in November." "We opted for something more intimate. Chad felt a large wedding was too stressful. We found a lovely place in Napa and kept it simple." "Simple and secret." "Congratulations," I managed. "I'm sure it was beautiful." It was perfect. Chad's parents were there, his sister flew in, my friend Anna was my maid of honor. She listed details like reading a receipt, not describing her wedding day. But the glaring omission was unmistakable.
That sounds wonderful, Maya. I'm happy for you. Thanks. Oh, and Mom, Chad and I were hoping you could send us the beach house keys. We're thinking of honeymooning there since we didn't plan a trip. There it was, the true reason for the call. The keys to the beach house, I repeated slowly. Yes, Chad's eager to see it. I've told him so much about it. He's especially interested in the recent renovations and property value trends. Property value trends. How romantic. Maya, when you say you got married yesterday, do you mean a ceremony or legally? Both. We got the license last week. Why? Just clarifying. And you didn't think to invite your mother. A pause. Mom, please don't be dramatic. Chad wanted it small, and after our boundaries talk, I thought you'd understand. I understood perfectly. Of course, sweetheart. I'll make sure you get the keys.
After hanging up, I sat in the garden thinking about patterns. Chad followed patterns. He isolated women, gained access to their assets, and moved on when challenged. But he made one critical error. He assumed I was a passive mother who would fade away quietly. He underestimated what happens when you corner a woman and threaten what she loves most. I spent that day making calls and sending emails. By evening, I had what I needed to give Chad exactly what he deserved. Not revenge, justice. The wedding gift I prepared would be more valuable than any registry item. It would be the gift of truth.
I've always believed the best gifts keep giving. So when I drove to Maya and Chad's apartment that Friday morning, I ensured my present would offer enduring insights. The package was elegantly wrapped. Inside was a leather portfolio containing documents I'd spent 72 hours compiling. Chad was going to adore learning about his new family connections.
I left it at their door with a note. Congratulations on your marriage. Every new husband should know his wife's heritage. With love, Elena. Then I went home and waited.
The call came at 2:23 p.m. Maya's number, but Chad's voice, screaming. "What is this? You psychotic woman! How dare you send us this filth?" I set my teacup down softly. "Hello, Chad. I take it you opened your gift. This is harassment. I'm calling the police." "I'm confused, dear. What would you report? That your mother-in-law gifted you public records and newspaper clippings?" In the background, I heard Maya crying. "Chad, stop. Let me talk. No, she's trying to ruin us." I smiled. "Chad, surely you're not upset about sharing some fascinating family history. I thought you'd appreciate the connections."
During my research, I discovered something extraordinary. Chad's grandfather, Walter Pierce, had been involved in a significant business deal with my late husband, Daniel, decades ago. A real estate venture that collapsed. The documents in the portfolio detailed how Walter had embezzled funds, leaving Daniel bankrupt and contributing to our divorce. But the most compelling part was a deathbed confession. Walter had told his grandson Chad about the stolen money hidden in offshore accounts, money Chad had been quietly accessing for years, money that legally belonged to Daniel's estate, which now belonged to his sole heir, Maya.
Chad, I said calmly. I also included contact information for the firm handling Daniel's estate. They're very interested in those offshore accounts. Apparently, substantial funds rightfully belong to Maya. The screaming ceased. "You're lying," he said, but his voice wavered with panic. "I don't lie, dear. But verify for yourself. The beach house keys are in the portfolio, too. Consider it my gift. I'm sure you'll find it relaxing to discuss your family's financial history with ocean views." Then I hung up and poured more tea.
Maya called that evening, her voice raw. "Mom, what did you do?" "I gave you both a wedding gift, sweetheart. Did you read it?" "I read enough. Chad says it's all lies." "What do you think, Maya?" A long pause. "I think I need you to explain." "Your father lost nearly everything because of Walter Pierce's theft. The stress broke him. The money Chad has been using belongs to you." I could hear Chad shouting in the background. "The law firm wants to meet with you, Maya. As Daniel's heir, you have a claim to that money plus interest, roughly $4 million. $4 million, she whispered. "Chad married you 3 days after I hired the investigator. Interesting timing, don't you think?"
The line went quiet. "There's more," I continued. "The investigator found 2 prior engagements, Leah Chen and Nicole Walsh. Both ended when their families uncovered Chad's financial deceptions. Both women had family assets. Both were isolated first." "Stop," Maya whispered.
The call ended.
She didn't call back that night or the next day, but on Sunday morning she was on my porch steps, looking exhausted. "Tell me everything," she said.
We talked for hours. Chad left, she finally shared. He said if I believed you over him, we were finished. Where did he go? I don't know. But Mom, I found emails between Chad and a man named Marcus discussing the offshore accounts, dating back years. She showed me prints. I called Leah, then Nicole. Same pattern, Mom. Exactly the same. She wiped her eyes. Leah said Chad researched her before their chance meeting. He knew about the beach house. He knew about that. It was all a plan.
What will you do? I asked. Maya looked at me with a fierce determination I hadn't seen in 2 years. I'm going to ensure he never does this to anyone else, and I need your help. My daughter was asking for my help again. I smiled fully for the first time in months. Tell me what you need.
We developed a simple strategy. Chad would return. Men like him always do. When he did, we'd be ready. Maya contacted the estate attorney, who connected her with a federal investigator, Agent Harris, who had been building a case against Chad with evidence from Leah and Nicole's families. Your cooperation gives us the final piece, Agent Harris said. We can set up a controlled operation. Chad texted Maya on Wednesday. Can we talk? I miss you. I'm coming home. She replied, playing the part of the remorseful wife, and he took the bait. On Friday evening, with Maya wearing a wire and agents nearby, Chad returned with flowers and apologies. He talked of honeymoons and accessing joint savings. Within hours, she had him admitting knowledge of the offshore accounts. The agents moved in. By Monday, the news broke. Local man arrested in multi-state fraud scheme. Chad's mugshots said it all. He was charged with conspiracy, money laundering, and fraud. Bail was set at $500,000, unattainable with his frozen accounts. At lunch, Maya updated me. Agent Harris called. Formal charges across multiple states. He's looking at 12 years, plus restitution to all victims, over $8 million. We ate in comfortable silence before she spoke again. Mom, how long did you know? I suspected early on, but had proof 3 months ago. That's when I hired the investigator. Right after the boundaries talk. She nodded. You didn't warn me directly because you knew I wouldn't listen? Would you have? She shook her head. No. He had me convinced you were the problem. Tears filled her eyes. I was so cruel to you. I excluded you from my own wedding. You were manipulated by a professional. That's not your fault. How do I fix this? You already are. You're here. As she left that evening, she paused. Mom, would you help me plan a real wedding someday when I find someone who deserves us both? I would be honored. And the beach house. I've always dreamed of marrying there, barefoot in the sand, just like I said as a kid. It would be perfect, I said, hugging her tightly. The trial was swift. Testimony from Leah, Nicole, an accomplice named Marcus revealed Chad's meticulous planning. The jury deliberated briefly. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 12 years and full restitution to all victims. Outside the courthouse, Maya hugged the other women. Leah thanked her for her bravery. Nicole squeezed my hand. Thank you for not giving up on your daughter. Agent Harris nodded. You've protected countless others. As we walked away, Maya turned to me. Some gifts really do giving, don't they? The truth always does, I replied. Thanks for listening.
If you found this story compelling, subscribe to Shattered Voices for more narratives of resilience and reckoning. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Your perspective matters.